A very good morning, children. Welcome back. Children, today we shall take up a grammar topic, active voice and passive voice. Now, this is video 1. I'm sure you know this topic. You've done it in the earlier class. But today we shall take it a little in detail. We'll do a little about what it is. What do you mean by active voice? What do you mean by passive voice? What are the rules that you need to follow when we have to change it? Okay, suppose you have to change active into passive and passive into active. Sometimes you find it difficult. So if you understand the rule, you can do this exercise well. So let's get started then. Let's see the introduction. Active voice and passive voice refer to the form of a verb. So what is important when we're talking about active and passive voice is the verb. Okay, the verb form is very important. And many of the children make a mistake here. So don't worry. The more you practice, the more perfect you will be. So listen to the rules and you will learn it better. Now when we use the active voice, the subject is the doer of the action. Now, what do you understand by this? Let's look at the sentence. Mother prepares the food. Now, if I have to tell you to, divide the sentence into subject and predicate, how will it be? Mother will be the subject, right? And prepares the food will be the predicate. Now, which is the verb there? You have prepares as the verb. Food, object. Now, check out who is doing the action. Mother is doing the action and mother is in the subject. So when we use the active voice, the subject is doer of the action. So your mother is doing the action. So therefore, which voice will it be? Active voice. So in this sentence, the form of verb shows that the person denoted by the subject does something. That is the mother. Now let us look at the passive voice. When we use the passive voice, the action is done to the subject. Now take for example, the ball is kicked by the boy. Now look at the sentence very carefully. First you divide it into subject and predicate. Subject, the ball, is kicked by the boy, becomes a predicate. Now let's check out who is doing the action. Is the ball doing the action? No. It is the boy that is doing the action. But the one who's doing the action, is it in the subject or is it in the predicate? It's in the predicate. So, when we have the one who's doing the action, okay, in the predicate, and if you have the one which is in the subject, the action is done to the subject, then it is what? It is a passive voice. So, in this sentence, the form of verb shows that the action is done to the subject by the doer of the action. So, who is the doer of the action? The boy. So, he is doing the action on the subject. So, therefore, it is a passive voice. Before we move forward, let's remember some of the rules. Okay, children? Now, first thing is identify the sentence, whether it is active or passive. Don't go to solve anything. First, look at the sentence carefully and try to understand whether it's active voice or passive voice by asking questions. Ask who is doing the action. Yes? Now, if the doer of the action is in the subject, then which voice is it? Then it's an active voice, as we saw it in that example already. And if the doer of the action is in the predicate, then it's a passive voice. Then change accordingly without changing the meaning of the sentence. Many a times, children, you'll change the meaning of the sentence while changing when it is coming to change the voice, okay? So please see that you don't do that. So follow these simple rules and definitely you will get your sentence right. Now this is a very important table. I would advise you if you can write it down in your notebook or if you can get it done on a small paper, on a chart or whatever, if you have time, and put it on a wall so that you keep reading it. Because verb phrases in the active voice and passive voice is very important. Okay. Now let's look at the different tense, the active voice, and then you changing it into passive. Simple present tense. I write a poem. Write is simple present. Now, who's doing the action? I. It's in the subject. Now, you have to bring it to the predicate, okay, to the second half. You have to make it passive. So, how do you write it? A poem is written by me. Now, the by here gives you the clue of the passive voice. Always remember this. So, you can't say by I, by me. That is the correct English. So, coming to the present perfect tense, I have written a poem. Have written is present perfect. So, I have to change this voice. It is in the active voice. I change it into passive. How will I write it? A poem, which is an object. Okay, this is the object. So, a poem has been written by me. So, you bring that in the subject. Likewise, for present progressive tense, I am writing a poem. Am writing. It's in the present progressive, ing. So, how do you write this? A poem is being written by me. Now, that was present. What about the past tense? Simple past tense. I wrote a poem. Okay? Remember, wrote. Many of you are not familiar with this verb. I wrote a poem. Now, you have to change this in the passive voice. A poem was written by me. If you have past perfect tense, if the sentence is in past perfect, like I have written a poem. Had written. Now, I is the doer of the action. Now, you have to bring it in the predicate. So, how will you put that? A poem had been written by me. Had been written. Okay? In the past tense. Past progressive. I was writing a poem. Was writing. Yes, this is past progressive. So, how do I make it passive? A poem was being written by me. Was being written. Okay? Because it is in the past tense there. Then simple future. I shall write a poem. How do you know this is future? Because the word shall is there. Okay? So, shall write. It is simple future. How do I change that into passive? A poem shall be written by me. Okay? Then future perfect. I shall have written a poem. Shall have written. How do I change that into passive? I start with the object. A poem will have been written by me. And lastly, the future progressive tense. I shall be writing a poem. Shall be writing. Ing is there, so you have the clue. It's a progressive, and shall gives you also the clue that is future. Now, if you have to change this into passive voice, a poem will be being written by me. Now, this last example, children, it's not used usually, okay? We rarely use it. But the others are important, so please see that you learn this statement. Now, when you have to change your voice with direct and indirect object. Let's take an example. The girl sent her mother a gift. Now, if you divide the sentence, the girl is subject, sent the mother a gift is predicate. Now, which voice is it? How do I know which voice? First ask the question. Who is doing the action? The girl. So, the girl is in the subject, right? So, of course, it is an active voice. Now, here, her mother is an indirect object, okay? And a gift is direct object. So, you have two objects here, mother and gift. Now, in cases like these, children, you can write your answer in two ways. Now, how is that? Now, take for example, you have mother as the object. You have to bring that in the subject. So, you say the mother was sent a gift by the girl. Did you change the meaning of the sentence? No. The meaning of the sentence is the same. Basically, what you have done, you have put the doer of the action, the girl, in the predicate, and you have brought the object in the subject, right? So, the mother was sent a gift by the girl, and you have made it passive because you even put by here, okay? Now, what is another way to write this answer? Which is the other object? Gift. So, you can use this also, okay? A gift was sent to the mother by the girl. Yes, two answers, same meaning, and both are passive. This is how you're going to do when you have two objects. Now let's look at another examples to make this more easier. Take for example, Tom gave me a pen. Now Tom, divide the sentence, children. Tom is subject, gave me a pen is predicate. The verb is gave, object is pen, me also is an object, okay? So me there becomes an indirect object, pen is direct object. Now this is the active voice. How do I know? Because Tom is doing the action and Tom is in the subject. Now if I have to change it, let me use the object to start with the subject, no? In the subject. I. Me will become I. I was given a pen by Tom, passive voice. Or you can say a pen was given to me by Tom, because pen also is the objective. So in cases like this, when you have direct and indirect object, you can have two answers to the sentence. Now suppose you have to change a voice with modal auxiliaries. Now children, you've already done modal auxiliaries like can, could, may, might, no? So if you have sentences like this with modal auxiliaries, how can you do it? Let's see. Sentences in the active voice that have modal auxiliaries in the verb phrases can be changed to the passive voice. Example, you can make statues out of clay. Now, what voice is this? Active voice. If you're talking about the one who's doing the action, you. So you can. It's in the subject. So you change it, you bring the part. What is there in the predicate? In the subject. Statues can be made out of clay. Passive voice. Then another sentence. You must not hear sad songs when you are depressed. That is active voice. Now you change it into the passive voice. So you will bring what is in the predicate. You will bring it in the subject. Sad news must not be heard when you are depressed. That is passive voice. Now this is examples when you have modal auxiliaries. Let's have a little recap of what we've done today, children. We've done the introduction. We just saw what is an active voice, what is a passive voice. Then we saw the rules. Simple rules. Remember, when you get a sentence, don't go to solve it. First look at it, identify the sentence, whether it is active or passive. And you know how you're going to identify? You're going to ask the question, who is doing the action? If the one who's doing the action is in the subject, then what is it? It is an active voice. And the one who's doing the action is in the predicate, then what? It is the passive voice. Okay? Now verb phrases, that table is given to you. Please go through it again. Look at it carefully, learn it. It's easy. Okay? When you have sentences like this, then you know how to solve. Where to put the right verb phrases. That is very important, children. Then change the voice with direct and indirect object. This is in cases when you have two objects. So you can either use one of those objects, okay, and make a sentence. You can have two answers. And change your voice with modal auxiliaries. So if you have modal auxiliaries, what are the ways you can change the sentence? So I hope you've understood this topic. We'll continue with this topic in the next class. I want to thank you for giving me a listening ear. Children, I'm sure you are preparing for the orals. There's something I want to tell you. Don't be stressed about the orals. It's going to be easy. I know it's new to you. It's new to us too, isn't it? So, come prepared. Be calm. See that you have kept your things ready. Look at the date, look at the time, and keep reminding yourself. Okay, please see that you log in before time, 15 minutes before that. Children, be ready so that we will be able to take you in when you are there. Okay, don't be late. I'm sure you'll all do well and get good marks. God bless you. Take care.